This week's scenario is taken hold from the 2016 Steamroller packet. This scenario does have the Killbox artifice, and consists of a friendly flag which can be dominated for 1 CP, or an enemy flag which can be controlled for 1 CP, or dominated for 2 CPs. Victory condition consists of 5 CPs, or caster assassination.
Hey everybody, Taodark here. So this week I'm going to be playing Protectorate of Menoth. I'm going to be playing Kreoss2. I've always actually kind of liked this caster, even though most people don't. So I have a Reckoner for reducing defense, a Scourge of Heresy for just a badass beat stick, and Exemplars. Lots and lots of Exemplars. We got Knights, we got Errants, we got Solos, we've got all kinds of Exemplars all over the place because he has Tactician, and that's pretty sweet.
Pokey here, and today I decided to go ahead and play Seer Mordikaar with Despoiler, Tiberion, a Brute, the Krea, an Agonizer, 2 min units of Beast Handlers, a full unit of Cetrati with Vorkesh, and then 2 Void Spirits because, well, Mordikaar likes Void Spirits.
So I wanted the roll-off to go first, and I decided to take first because I want to set the tempo and push aggressively with my army. As a result, Pokey ended up giving me the side of the table that had Forest on it, and I've got Rhupert that allows me the Pathfinder to get through the Forest, but it's still going to be a problem. It may provide me some defensive bonuses, but in the end it's still something I have to work around. And then right after the Forest I have another thing to work around, which is a house. I'll actually use that to my advantage. I'll use it for blocking line of sights and kind of dissecting the table into 2 halves. And then I've got these walls and obstructions near the flags that my monks can be around and hide to get cover bonuses, and be able to contest any sort of scoring out of the scenario.
Alright, for my deployment, I just want to pretty much keep things pretty much centralized, so that way I can figure out where he's going to go and try to work around that. Wasn't 100% sure on what was what at first, so as you can tell, Taodark decided to point things out to me and tell me what was what. So yeah, so like I said, everything's pretty much centrally located. I'm trying to hope to funnel through between the two ruins or buildings, and then allowing Mordikaar to come up behind the building and hold on to his flag.
So for my AD, it's relatively split. I've got, I'm going to put a monk on each side. The monks will be contesting flags. I've got a Wrack on each side so that no matter where I can pull off a Wrack. And then I put my Errants on the left side so I can push for my opponent's objective. Or I'm sorry, for my opponent's flag. And I put the Daughters on the right side because in response to me pushing to the left, I'm expecting my opponent to respond. And then I will have my Daughters hard flank around and go after his support staff to remove free charges and enrage and all that stuff. Protectorate, turn 1. So with the start of the game, I'm basically going to, it's going to be a lot of running and getting things in range. As I mentioned in deployment, my Errants are going to be basically pushing towards his side of the flag, and then my Daughters are going to hard flank. My monks are basically going to just be my contesters to control scenario scoring. The fact that there is the monolith obstruction up front, which would give cover to the top monk, and then the wall, the concealment wall down at the bottom to give concealment to the second monk, and the fact that they can go into shifting sands puts them anywhere from, well, shifting sands put them to defense 18, and then concealment goes to 20, or wall goes to 22. So it becomes a scenario where I get to stand these guys, and unless there's any sort of heavy shooting, which Skorne is not exactly known for, they're going to be really hard to remove. Not impossible, just hard. So I'm basically advancing everything up and getting everything into position. My objective as soon as I started deploying was go for scenario off of the left-hand side, push hard, and control that left-hand side, because I also in turn force him out of the trench to reduce his army's defense. I don't want him to go hidey-holing in the trench, and then I'm stuck trying to slog him out at a higher defense. If I push a hard presence, maybe he might be less inclined to go into that trench. And then he'll push from my side, but again, the monks will kind of prevent him from doing any major scoring on that hand side. And then the rest is just kind of, advancing up and getting into position for the following turn and see what his response is.
Alright, turn 1. Figuring out that the one thing that my markers or my widgets are sitting on is actually like a trench. Went ahead and tried to figure out where I could put Mordikaar to get him in there to where he would hopefully not get charged or shot at by the Errants. So the one bad thing about this list is that I have Void Spirits, which are incorporeal, which normally is a great thing, but Protectorate has quite a bit of magical weapons. So Void Spirits are probably not going to hang around as long as I was hoping they would. I do know that the daughters don't have magical weapons, so it worked out great. When I activated Mordikaar, he cast, what was it, Hollow on the Cetrati, and then, the name of this spell, Manifest Void or something like that, where it allows his entire battle group to basically gain Ghostly. So I can ignore the Rubble when Tiberion activated and ran. Then the Brute ran up, well, trampled up, I guess, and then put up his own Animus. And then the Cetrati ran forward. They did not put up Shield Wall because, well, they ran. And then the Krea, she activated, she put up Force Aura, Paralytic Aura, basically, hey, I'm gonna be special. And then she trampled forward into that little hole, and the Agonizer pretty much did his little thing and walked up into the hole. The Beast Handlers walked up, and they removed the extra Fury that I didn't need. And then Tiberion not Tiberion, the Despoiler activated next, and he spends 2 for his Animus Arcane Suppression, and then he trampled forward to get enough on the table, and then I used the last unit of Beast Handlers to remove enough Fury.
Protectorate turn 2. So he's definitely taking a defensive approach, which I'm willing to play into. I'm completely fine with that, but I'm not necessarily willing to just run haphazardly up into it either. I'm still going to push forward with the monks. There is a Void Spirit on the left-hand side that I'm not too terribly thrilled about having him over there, but that's kind of, my left-hand side up in that forest. I'll have to deal with it, but I'm not necessarily threatened by it. I have magic weapons in the form of the crossbows on my Errants, and then also the swords on the knights. So the Void Spirits, though they're a pain in the butt for infantry, I have tools to kill them up there. I'm going to continue with the concept of flanking hard with the daughters. They're just going to flank up, and then actually with the Errants, I'm just going to kind of push them up and get them into a position where I'm threatening the flag but not committing to the flag. Force him out, have him come out, use self-sack to kind of keep that line of engagement up close to the edge of the house / the monolith, and then allow the knights in the following turn to go through. Honestly, this list upon creation was done because of Tactician Exemplar. Out of all the things that's on Kreoss, from his spell card to his feat and everything like that, I really feel like if you're not maximizing Tactician, why are you taking this caster? Other casters can do it so much better. And it'll be interesting, if we ever get some sort of Exemplar theme force or something like that, if the benefits of Exemplar theme force really drive Kreoss2 into being an even better caster. Time will tell if we ever get something like that. So the daughters are advancing up. I'm just basically going up and threatening. I'm basically telling my opponent, look, you're going to go up here, you're going to have to deal with them, they're really high defense, and there's rubble in the way, so you're going to have to use up resources to get over rubble if you want to go charging after me. Or he ignores, and then I get to kill his stuff anyways. Monks basically get up in position, shifting sands. I'm activating the vassals. One of the things, we actually have these Muse on Minis obstruction buildings. So the big building in the center, and then the small building down at the bottom that we have a tower kind of using as a 3D representation of it. It's moments like this where we're recording a game where I almost wish that we removed the 3D tower so that we could see what's happening behind the tower, but yet still have that 2D template. And I think that's really where the 2D world is benefits much. If you can throw something 3D on top of it to give you that aesthetic appeal, but then being able to remove it and have that 2D template to still represent it behind everything is really where the value of those Muse templates comes in, is being able to, for people like us to be able to see what's happening on the other side of that building. Like, we can see what's happening on the other side of the house. We can't see what's happening on the other side of the tower. So that's something we're going to have to keep in mind in the future. So the Errants are moving up, just getting, I get a couple shots off on the bow. Nothing really big happens because I'm either shooting at things in trenches or I'm shooting at things with high armor. My Seneschal goes over and tries to shoot the Void Spirit. And I think we moved it back because I moved too far or something like that. I forget what ended up happening, but it resulted in no true table state change besides bad placement on my part. And then we're just kind of, I want to use the army. I'm not ready to commit to it yet, so I'm not necessarily going whole hog into it, but at the same time, I've got crossbows. Why not fire? So that's what's happening at the top end, is I'm taking a couple of pot shots here and there. I'm just getting ready. I'm going to move a good chunk of the army out of the woods because I don't have to worry about Rhupert being dependent upon several pieces. I leave Kreoss in the woods, though, just for concealment benefit. Once I can get it to a position where he is not in the woods but can use the house to block line of sight, I'll be more comfortable about lowering his defense and getting him out of that concealment. And then I'm just setting up the knights because at some point in time, my opponent's going to have to come in range. So I want to make sure that those knights are ready to charge out and get some work done in the following turn for anything coming after my my objective, or my flag. Going through, I think I put up the armor buff onto the Errants. They're also within range of the solo, so they're basically going to be unyielding. I wish I would have Gravis so that they're no knockdown, but it is what it is.
Man, those daughters are very fast. I am just glad he didn't bring the ones on the horses. So, one thing to talk about this list. This list is actually a list that Fort gave me to use. I asked him if he could assist me with some ideas on how to get a good list for Mordikaar, and this is what he came up with. Not sure that I'm doing it the same justice he would have done, but doing my best, I guess. And so right now I'm just trying to figure out my sequencing of how to get things done. So I activate the 1 beast handlers, and they enrage Tiberion. Not Tiberion. Why can't I want to call him Tiberion? Despoiler. They enrage him. He charges in on the Errant, and I end up successfully killing that guy. And you'll see me put a placeholder down here. There's a second for the Void Spirit that just got pooped out. One of the nice abilities that the Despoiler has, that if he kills somebody, that he creates a Void Spirit. So that marker is a placeholder, mostly because, well, I left the rest of my Void Spirits in my bag. And only had the 2 that were out available. So I was actually expecting them to be dead because, well, it's Protectorate. Protectorate has a lot of magical weapons. So right now, what you saw me measuring out was, I was thinking that I was going to be able to move Mordikaar up and have him do some fancy smancy wheeling dealing and kill off some of the do his spray attack and kill off some of those guys. So right now I'm trying to figure out my sequencing. That's why I was counting out the tokens. I realized that what I wanted to do wasn't quite going to work the way I was hoping it was going to work. So instead, I'm going to have to try something a little on the different side, and that's going to mean the Beast Handlers the other unit of Beast Handlers activate. One just goes to swing on one of the daughters, and lo and behold, the guy had ambitions. He actually was able to swing on her, hit her, and kill her. Then the Brute was able to charge her free because the Beast Handler got base to base, and was able to swing on that guy. I want to say that Dow pulled up... no, I'm sorry. I don't think I killed anybody at all. I think he was really rolling horribly. So then I activate Mordikaar, and this is where I'm trying to figure out the sequencing that I'm trying to get done here. I put up... what did I put up? I put up something, and then I popped my feet, and then I did an Essence Blast through that one Beast Handler in the back, and now I'm pretty much just spending my entire load to try to take out those daughters in the back, but unfortunately I was only able to take out the one, plus the one from the combat, and now I'm going to have him shoot his gun, his spray bot gun, not spray bot, but his spray gun, to see who he can get. Unfortunately, I do hit my own guy, but I do hit the Errant. And this is where I was informed, hey, by the way, it's not a spray, it's an AoE. So, now we have to go back and rethink, redo all this other stuff. So all that you saw was because my mind said it's a spray. It wasn't a spray, it was an AoE. So, I took the shot at the guy who was barely in range. And then it was pretty much splash damage on all the rest. I don't think I did too much to them, except for just, leaving them there. So with that, I activate the one Void Spirit that I was pretty sure was going to die. And he is now going to start to do his bit to hopefully whittle down some of those Errants. Because one of the nice abilities with Mordikaar is that they get boosted to hit. Well, yeah. They get boosted to hit and they get killing spree. So for every model they kill, they get to make a 1-inch move and make another swing. And they have the ability for when they hit against living models, they get the additional damage die. So it kind of works out to where as long as they're with him, they get 3 dice to hit, 3 dice to damage, and they get to keep moving 1 inch to do what they need to do. What's also nice is they get, it's called like Void Walk, and they actually get to, at one time during their activation, they actually get to teleport 8 inches, be placed within 8 inches of wherever they're currently located. If that happens to be where they can place themselves to be still somewhere where they can swing on somebody, then the killing spree continues. And they just kind of go. And that guy had boxes, and I did not roll high enough. No, he toughed. So that stopped the killing spree. So now with Void Spirit just sitting there going, hey guys, how's it going? So I'm going to attempt with the other Void Spirit to do the same thing. Have him move up into the fray, because the front guys didn't have magical, they have magical bows, just not magical hand weapons, so I kind of moved about them. And I'm trying to rinse and repeat for the top zone right there. So, yeah, so this is where I'm hoping to have a little bit of fun, because if I can get rid of a lot of those knights, it really helps me out, because those guys are just a pain in my butt. Unfortunately, I think I go to swing on the Piper, and the Piper, I don't roll high enough to kill the Piper. And that stops that killing spree. Really doesn't make me happy. But hey, they both got some work done. And now Cetrati, they activate, they move forward, they actually do shield wall to increase their armor, because I'm pretty sure that Jack over there is getting ready to come in to say hi. The Krea comes up, does its little animus, and pretty much I fill in the little block with the rest of the Agonizer and
Protectorate, turn 3. So those Void Spirits, I've always known that the Void Spirits do a lot of work on infantry, but the fact that those relatively cheap models are just Pac-Manning through my infantry. I mean, there got to a point where I was picking up model after model, and I was starting to question, like, was this really a good idea to just go all in on Tactician? And I still think it is, because it's a really good tool. It provides really good flexibility to the army. It's just you're going to have to identify those infantry pieces or infantry killing pieces early. I really should have put a lot more attention towards them than I did, and I would have had a lot more resources available to me. So I'm going to go out through a couple efforts of kind of seeing what I can get away with, seeing what I can plan out for my turn. On the right-hand side, I've got Scourge of Heresy, and there's a buff currently on his Cetrati. The Cataphract unit has this buff on it, so I'm going to be able to get additional dies on it, so I can really kind of come over top of that shield wall ability that they have with all of the damage that he do. That and the fact of he's got a chain weapon which can go past the shield, so I'm looking at an opportunity of potentially throwing in Scourge of Heresy and getting a lot of those Weapon Master models out of there, and potentially even the Krea, which kind of increases that army's survivability on that end. I theoretically am going to lose Scourge of Heresy because Tiberion, you've got Titans behind those, and I believe Tiberion is one of them. So it's one of the scenarios of recognizing, hey, if I can get rid of anywhere from 3 to 4 of these guys and the Krea, I've gotten my value out of Scourge of Heresy, and then the Reckoner hopefully can follow up in the following turn to kill whatever kills Scourge if Scourge isn't dead. Or, I'm sorry, if Scourge is dead. And that's kind of what I'm mapping out there. And then also looking at my daughters. My daughter's going to run around. But really the important thing that I'm looking at is that his caster is basically kind of sitting out there with no focus. Now, he's in a trench, and he's under feet. And that's a huge issue. But Kreoss2's feat is I get an additional swing, and I get to auto-hit with melee attacks. So the ability to auto-hit basically circumvents the feat, circumvents the defense, and kind of addresses the poltergeist issue in a lot of ways. But because it's in a control range and not it's a command range and not control range, I really have to be mindful of where Kreoss is going in order to make it deliver. And I have to actually get Kreoss up farther than I want to, because if I just do a simple advance in the feat, it's not going to get his range of the feat far enough to get it up to the caster. So I'm going to have to... The old man's going to have to charge in order to get some work done. I'm going to go after I believe it's not Sentinel, it's the Cyclops Brute, which is the sword or the spear and shield. And I'm going to basically charge in. Tactician allows me to go through, so I'm going to Tactician through them and then go after the Brute. Do some damage on the Brute. Ideally, what I want to do is get rid of the Brute and Despoiler this turn, on any feat turn, and then really just start swinging away on the caster. So the Knights are going to Tactician through the Errants, and they're going to go after the Brute and Despoiler. Get those damages in, and then... Did Kreoss already go? I think he might have. Yeah, actually, you know what? I didn't charge. Did I? All of a sudden, my memory's failing me. But the end objective is Kreoss is going to go in. He's going to feat. I'm going to cast Chastain on the Brute who has a upkeep on him. And then I'm going to try and get rid of those two models between the Knights Tacticianing through, so there goes the Brute, between the Knights Tacticianing through, the Solo, the Errant Seneschal going through, And then I've got the monk in the back who's going to get his swings. I'm actually going to do a lot of just attacks. And it's like death by 1,000 cuts because they're not high-level power attacks. Many of them are weapon master attacks. But it's a concentration of attacks. It's a scenario of the monk gets 2 naturally. All of the knights get 2 from feat. So you get 3 from the monk, 3 from each knight. It adds up. It starts killing things off and freeing, because the end goal is, the objective is, Kreoss is now within range of his feat, is catching the caster, and all of the charge lanes are open because Tactician allows me to go through my own models, but then I've removed all of the heavies from the table, so I can actually go through these places where the heavies are kind of jamming up my knights. And the monk is positioned in a way where, though he has contributed to the cleaning, he is not in the way where he's going to prevent, because he is not an errant, so I'm not going to be able to tactician through. So here we go, and we basically, and this, you'll note that Pokey is helping me out here a lot with positioning and line, and I cannot stress how awesome Pokey is to play against. Like, he emphasizes good sportsmanship to a T. He knows what I'm trying to do. He's aware of what I'm trying to do, and he's literally helping me through it. Now, some of it is because I'm having issues, seeing cards and movements and positioning due to for medical reasons. But he's literally helping me defeat him because he knows that I would have done it on my own anyways, unhindered. So why try and pull off some sort of like janky win because my opponent didn't know, or because a specific positioning. At no point in time does Pokey want to be like, haha, gotcha. It's, I know what he's trying to do, and I'm going to get it done. So my errants went in, and what I ended up doing was I positioned it so that 3 of them got in. So I'm getting a charge attack and a feat attack, all of them weapon master. It's a scenario of, I've also got others behind him, and that is so that when something comes along and tries to kill, I've got sack pawns within range, multiple sack pawns within range, where I'm going to determine where things are removed. So that's kind of really why they're kind of clumped up like that, and I'm basically putting into a position of, if you walk away, you could potentially take up to 3 free strikes. Or, I'm sorry, 6 free strikes. So it's, got through. I really was hoping to pull it off. I was really hoping to get the assassination this turn. It did not work. I missed it by a point. But, I've put enough damage into him that a Hordes caster has to be extremely careful from this point on. Because though you can live off 1 hit point because you can just transfer off huge chunks, if you transfer off too big of a chunk that it comes back, that's enough that 1 hit point will kill you. So I put him in range of that, and there's still a significant amount of bodies. I've pulled things away from the Void Spirits. They're further up the table now, so the Void Spirit in the back's not going to be able to reverse Pac-Man through. My caster is behind a building, so I don't have to worry about Tiberion, beating the crap out of my caster. And yet another reason why I'm going to send in the Scourge of Heresy is because I want to provide a threat that he has to deal with instead of directing the army towards my caster. Because my caster is, I think he's sitting on 2 right now. He is open. He is vulnerable. He could easily die next turn. So I need to basically shove as much threat as possible as I can into Pokey so that he can't in turn kill my caster next turn because he's got things available to deal with. I need to jam up and choke up everything I can, or remove it from the table in the case of the Cetrati, or I always screw this up, the Cataphract Keltari. Cetrati. One of those 2. The guys who sword and board and shield, I really suck at it. There's too many C's in this faction. So I'm just going through and Pac-Man through, and I do manage to actually get through and kill the Kreoss2, which is going to help because it reduces some of the benefits that Krea provides to the faction. But I'm going to lose Scourge. I've accepted the fact I'm going to lose Scourge. So the monk comes in, he goes ahead and contests, and I'll probably end up passing turn. Comfortable with the fact of, I've got his caster down to 1 hit point. A lot of his stuff is either going to be engaged or by daughters, or killed by the Errant or by the Scourge, or engaged by Errants. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here, and I'm really comfortable with this turn. Now, I'm also nervous because, like I said, my caster is more than capable of dying right now, so we'll have to see how it plays out from here.
All right. Mordikaar's feat is really powerful. +3 defense, poltergeist. It's a good thing. It really is. It's like, wow, this is amazing. What could, how could I possibly, not have a good time with this? Well, his caster's feat, which goes, hey, I get a hit automatically regardless. That's what really sucks. So, seeing as how I barely survived, I went ahead and used the Void Spirit to go up there and just start swinging on everybody I could, because, well, I just need people to die, because I need to get Mordikaar free, because there's just no way I can survive another round with those guys swinging on me. So yeah. So everything, all my activations kind of move about to try to hopefully free up my caster. His caster is relatively close. If I can free up my caster, there's potential for me to be able to actually get my caster to charge his caster. There is a line there. It's a very thin line, but that means I have to clear everybody out. Everybody has to be cleared. So there's the slim chance. So now it's pretty much everybody gets to back up and hopefully get out of the way. It's kind of, let's see what I can do to remove people. And with them having, with the Errants having the ability to sack pawn into a buddy, it makes it really tough to get, consecutive swings. So the one Void Spirit did his thing. Agonizer did his thing. Tiberion walks up or charges up with Enrage, because I want him to do his thing on that Jack, especially after that Jack pretty much wiped out half of the Cetrati by himself. I think he even took out my Krea. I don't know why. It wasn't like it was doing much to him. So, boom. I was able to take out his heavy. Now I just have the other heavy to worry about that might come in. But I also have the daughters that are coming in from behind. Well, the one daughter coming in from behind. And the rest of the Errants that are in front. So, yeah. It's going to be interesting. As you can tell, I was not able to clear all the Errants before I activated my caster. So now my caster's doing whatever he can. He heals a point, and I think he's just trying to buy swings to kill people, because he just needs people to die. He is currently sitting with a couple extra souls. The Void Spirit then activates up at the top. It activates, it goes, it kills off the Piper, and I get greedy and go for the Errants, because my thought was, I'll be able to come over and swing on his caster from the backside. So let's see if I can survive.
Protectorate, turn 4. So, as expected, I locked Scourge of Heresy. A lot of my knights ended up dying. That Void Spirit's just Pac-Manning around back there. Those things really kind of tilting me. Also, what the hell? When did beast handlers become the natural predators of daughters? They are just getting some work done on those daughters, and they really shouldn't have. So, here you're seeing there's 2 proxy bases going down, and the philosophy is that his caster has Poltergeist. So he got healed because when he kills an enemy model, he heals. But if I go in and I start striking at his caster, I'm going to potentially get pushed back. So what I end up doing is I actually set up the bases to determine a charge lane where if I run my daughter behind and then charge the caster, I can get it so that the daughter's behind me, so that even if I do get pushed back, I can't go anywhere, and I can continue buying swings. So I run up, I set the daughter up, I charge in, and I go into it, and he ends up transferring off some damage, and I end up doing not too terribly much, and then finally on the last one I kill him.
Alright, afterthoughts. Oh, man. Well, first and foremost, don't get greedy. Love playing Taodark. You know, most of our guys in our group are really great guys to play against. And it's one of those things. It's always a pleasure to play against any of the guys, you know, the rest of the advanced maneuvers guys. But for this game, I would have to say, don't get greedy is my biggest thing. And watch out for just how much infantry he could get out there. I mean, I thought I could do a fair amount of damage back, but once his caster was able to get close enough to pop his feet and just able to negate my feet, I felt that it was going to be a very uphill battle. I didn't think it was going to be impossible, but it definitely was an uphill battle, and I think my biggest mistake was when I got a little on the greedy side with that one Void Spirit. So, yeah, other than that, it was a good game. Thanks for watching.